Hi, and welcome to RCSP Florida. Today I'm going to take you on a trip to several of my favorite places in Florida to see lots of birds. I'll be recording 4K 60 video using the Panasonic Lumix GH5 and the Panasonic Lumix Vario 100-300mm f4.0 to 5.6 version 2 lens, and that's a mouthful. Because of the 2x crop with micro four thirds cameras, this lens is equivalent to 200 to 600 millimeters compared to a full frame camera. This is really a pretty good lens, and I'll tell you what I think of this camera and lens for shooting wildlife and nature when the video is over. A lot of my viewers and subscribers like to see video of the birds and wildlife I find when I'm out shooting, so this is going to be a two-part video. I'm going to show you about 9.5 minutes of video and then come back and tell you my thoughts on using this camera and lens combination for recording video of birds and wildlife. I'm going to narrate this video as we go along to describe what I am shooting for those of you that may be beginners when it comes to birds and wildlife. So let's get started with part 1 of this video. I usually start my videos with birds, but why not pigs? These baby pigs were cute as a button. Overall there were 5 of them, 2 black and 3 brown. This is the mama pig and Papa was nearby. Both the adults were black, but ended up with brown and black babies. Here's a couple of pictures of a red-shouldered hawk. These are stills. These American coots are kind of going crazy. I'm not quite sure why. I think that maybe there was an alligator or something has spooked them. But you'll notice that they do not want to be out by themselves. They will flap across the water. They kind of run their feet across the water like a lot of ducks do to try and get going. But you'll notice that they always want to be in a group. They either want to be in the line going from the left to the right, from one island to the next, or like these birds flying in right here. And you'll notice the wind was so strong, these birds are almost standing in one place and flapping their wings. But you'll notice they both landed, didn't wait. They waited until they got right into the group before they landed. So something, I think, has spooked them. This is a snowy egret standing in a mangrove tree. This is a red-bellied woodpecker. There's actually a couple of them. This is one of them, and there's another one that I'll show you. Looking around, seeing what he can find, looking under the bark, see if he can find any bugs or worms. Looking for something to eat. Here's the second one here. They look in every little nook and cranny in that tree, trying to find some food. This shows you how the many water birds are around Florida. This is taken over at Merritt Island National Wildlife Refuge on Black Point Drive. And this is a lot of shorebirds, a lot of willets, but there's some other varieties out there as well. And then one of the craziest little birds you'll ever want to see is a roseate spoonbill with that great big spoonbill. And they're absolutely beautiful during breeding season, which is now. And they just are gorgeous birds. They swing their bill back and forth in the water, and they're just basically filtering out their food. See a lot of ibis in the background. White ibis, that is, of course. There's lots and lots of glossy ibis at the same location. This is all taken at, as we call it, Minwar, M-I-N-W-R. These are blue-winged teal, as best I can tell. I wouldn't swear to it, but I'm pretty sure they are. And there's like hundreds of them. I usually don't see flocks of ducks this large. There's always lots of ducks over here, but at least most winters anyway. Some winters I have not found too many, but last several years they've been great. There's a bunch of white-tailed deer that were out frolicking a field. I mean, these guys are just having a great time. They're out there chasing each other around. Overall, there were about a dozen of them all together, but couldn't get them all in one shot because they're spread out over quite an area. If I zoom back to try and get them all in, number one, I couldn't zoom back that far because this minimum on this lens is 200 millimeters. And these are probably, they're several hundred feet away. This is a Florida scrub jay. It's an endangered bird that they're trying to bring back in Florida, and they're doing a pretty good job. They are increasing in numbers, but they have been endangered and still are. They're quite a beautiful bird. have this thing where they actually, kind of bob their head around, they flip their tail up, and they're quite comical. You can see him doing it right here. This is a green heron. He's kind of, I think, testing out that little branch there in the water to see if it'd hold his weight. He finds out it won't, so he decides not to step up on it. And then if you look, when he picks his left foot up, he's got a leaf attached to it. He can't seem to get it off. But it doesn't seem to bother him too much. He's having a good time. This is a tricolored herring hanging on for dear life. It was very windy when we were over there, and this poor bird is hanging on for dear life. You can see how bad the wind is, but he's got his eye on some food in the water right below him. These are obviously shovelers, and a couple of males kind of bantering with each other there, trying to show who's boss. These are mangrove trees. They grow in little clusters like this, and they're really strange. Look at little mushrooms out there. They're very cute. If you want to see a white water bird, they're kind of all right here. You have ibis, you have snowy egrets, and you have roseate spoonbills, as well as wood storks. So they're all in this one frame. It's unusual to see this many varieties of birds feeding in this little small canal, but they were. And here's a shot I got of a roseate spoonbill. Now, I took this shot very quickly, and I didn't quite get him as he was coming up on me. That's just why I'm kind of shooting the back of him. But I just wanted to show you how good this camera really can be for flying birds. A couple of more roseate spoonbills feeding with some blue-winged teal going by and a glossy ibis coming into the picture there. This is what I call my nemesis bird. It's a belted kingfisher. And I have been trying to get a real tight shot, a good shot of a belted kingfisher for years, and I haven't gotten one yet. This is a boat-tailed grackle cleaning himself. Great blue heron. These are very large birds if you've never seen one up close. They stand about over 3 feet tall. They're a big bird. Tricolored heron, kind of looking around for a snack. Glossy ibis, and if you get them in the sunlight, this time of year when they're in breeding plumage, they just glisten. They're really very beautiful. And if you look, what came up in the lower right corner is a pied-billed grebe just came up in the foliage. I really didn't see that when I was shooting this video. I didn't see it till I looked at the video when I got home. This is a little green heron, kind of looking for a snack here, and gets it. There's another great blue heron with some American coots playing below him. And these are American coots. They're feeding on grass and moss that's growing in the bottom of the canal here. These are pied-billed grebes, a couple of them here. These are cute little birds. They have a really cute face. And off they go here with the glossy ibis, along with a common gallinule on the left side. These flowers are called burr marigolds. Blue-winged teal. Mama teal will be coming up on the left side there. This is a female ring-necked duck, and something has got her spooked. It's like she's lost her mate or something. She's acting like she's really frantic. And she kind of runs around and she looks one direction and swims over. to the left, and then she'll turn around and go back the other way and looks all around, and then she finally just either spots what she's looking for and takes off, but she just, puts it in high gear and moves out. Okay, so what do you think? Do you think the GH5 and the 100-300mm lens would work for you? There is not one camera out today that can do everything well. The GH5 is a good stills camera, but it is primarily a great video camera. There are many great stills cameras like the Canon 7D Mark II and 5D Mark IV and the Sony A7 series, as well as offerings by Nikon that are excellent when it comes to stills. The Nikon D850 is, to me, the best DSLR on the market today for shooting stills, and this is coming from someone that has shot Canon for many, many years. However, these cameras cannot compete with Micro Four Thirds when it comes to size and weight. A full-frame or even APS-C camera with a 600mm lens will be far bigger and weigh more than this camera and lens. The smaller sensor allows the lenses to be much smaller, so if you are looking to reduce size and weight, a Micro Four Thirds camera and lens may be what you're looking for. There are, of course, drawbacks to a small sensor. The bokeh with this camera, for example, is nowhere near as good as a full-frame or even APS-C sensor. There is way more in or near focus with this camera and lens combo than a full-frame camera and equivalent lens. Noise also tends to be a little worse with the GH5, and that is why Panasonic came out with the GH5S. However, as you can see from the video, the quality is still quite good. The reason I shoot 4K at 60 frames is so I can slow the video down to 50% and still get 4K 30 quality. That helps smooth out handheld shots and keeps you from getting sick at home watching it jittering around the screen. Shooting 4K also allows me to zoom in on the video in Premiere Pro and still maintain very good quality. 4K video is 4 times the quality of HD, so you can zoom in quite a bit. It does, however, have a drawback as well. It requires a much more powerful computer, and it takes up a lot more disk space. When I started shooting 4K, my i5 computer just could not handle it. I ended up building a new computer with an AMD Ryzen 7 1700X processor, and I have since changed to the newer and faster 2700X processor, just to be able to edit the 4K footage. All in all, the GH5 and the 100-300mm version 2 lens is a great combination for videographers that want to shoot bird and wildlife videos. I have been using it for over a year, and with the latest firmware update with Panasonic, the autofocus has improved greatly for video. The AFC or autofocus continuous mode is better, but still not great. It still isn't what it should be. That is why I use the MF mode or manual focus mode. The manual focus is somewhat misleading because it makes you think I am physically focusing the lens when I am actually using autofocus. That is started by pressing the back button focus or using the shutter button to focus. The beauty of back button focus is you don't have to worry about stopping your recording if you press the shutter button down too far trying to refocus. I can easily refocus the camera by pushing the AF/AE lock button I have assigned to back button focus without worrying about stopping my recording. If you are not using back button focus, give it a try and you'll never go back. I didn't. As a note, I also own the original 100-300mm version 1 lens and do not like it. It is not near as sharp as the version 2, so if you buy one, make sure it is the version 2 lens. If you want to see more video of birds and wildlife, just keep watching and I'll continue the video. If this is as far as you want to go, thanks for watching and let me know your opinion, but please be nice if you disagree. I want to hear why you disagree, but I don't tolerate nasty and rude comments. As always, nasty comments will be deleted as soon as I see them. For those of you that are going to continue, I hope you enjoy the rest of the video. If you like this video, please hit the like button, and if you want to see more of my videos, please hit the subscribe button. Tap the button bell if you want to be notified when I post a new video. Thanks for watching, and have a great day. Here's a little blue heron. These are gorgeous birds. I know I said that about a lot of birds, but most birds are gorgeous. Sun went behind a cloud there. This is a great egret in their breeding plumage. You can see the wind blowing it around. He was having a trouble trying to stay stable there because you can see from the cattails in the background, it's really windy. This is a juvenile white ibis. It looks like it's a glossy, but they look like a glossy more when they're young, and then they turn completely white. Close up of a great blue heron, and you can see how windy it is with his little top blowing around in the breeze. These are black-necked stilts. They don't have their head up, so you can't really see how long their neck is, but they're kind of all sleeping, and they're quite a ways behind in a marshy area that wasn't very close to the trail. This is a black swallowtail, and again, I hate to keep mentioning the wind, but you can see how much the wind is affecting everything. This poor butterfly is having a hard time hanging on. If you look at his feet and look how he's really got a grip on that flower to hang on to it while he's trying to get the nectar. And once again, once the GH5 got the focus, it held it. This segment's a little longer than it could have been, but I think the black swallowtail is a beautiful butterfly. This is a structure that was used to control water many years ago, before this was a wildlife refuge. This is at the north shore of Lake Apopka. This is a primrose willow. This is Queen Anne's lace, with a little honeybee there trying to get some nectar and take it back to the hive. This is the Florida state bird, the mockingbird. This is a common gallinule. You can tell that the light's getting low. We're about done shooting for the day here. It's getting low on the horizon, as you can see. But again, the GH5 does a good job. It autofocus with no problem. This was taken at Orlando Wetlands, and it's kind of another group of a lot of different kinds of birds. There's a great blue heron, you've got great egrets, you've got ibis, you've got pretty much everything you can think of. There's white ibis there. Once in a while, you'll see a glossy ibis go through their picture. There's a lot of little birds, and this was just a portion of the ones that were there. What I wanted to call your attention to was these great egrets are doing this thing where they're actually part of their courting ritual. They just stick their head right up in there, stick their beak straight up in the air. You see one on the left doing it there, and they all end up doing it at some point. Now we get to the part that everybody seems to like, the alligators. There's pretty much alligators at every place we visit, and pretty much any place that has water in Florida. So you need to be careful of them when you're out wandering on trails that are around wetlands, because they can be on the trail. They're not as dangerous as you might think, but you need to give them a lot of respect. You just don't need to be out there trying to take a selfie with one, because that can come back and haunt you or kill you. They can be dangerous, but in general, I don't really worry too much about them. I'm smart enough to know I stay far enough away from them that I'm not bothering them, and they won't give you any problems. You don't need to be terrified of them, but you need to give them respect. This little guy's about maybe 6 or 7 feet long. The previous ones were about 8 or 9 feet. This is the big guy. This guy, look at the, if you didn't know what this was, you may not recognize an alligator from the back. But the reason I put this in there is look at the size of his legs. This guy is a monster. Here's a side shot, and you can see that's probably 6 or 7 feet of him showing, and that's not his tail. His tail's in the water. So this is a big alligator. He's probably at least 11, 12 feet, I would think. But again, I'm not going to take a tape measure and measure him. This is taken at Merritt Island again on Black Point Drive, and this guy was a pretty good sized gator himself. He was probably 9 or 10 feet. Have some more shovelers, and the alligator you can see swimming kind of right at me, and these ducks are that close and don't seem to, they keep an eye on him, and here in a second you'll see them, they'll start to take off, and they'll just go off and leave him. And then I come back, and I kind of stayed on the alligator once the ducks got out of the picture. And it's kind of a cool shot because he's swimming right at me. And this is where I was telling you about the focus. You have to keep focusing because he's coming at me, so he keeps going out of focus. And I had to actually keep focusing, and he's not that big at the moment, but he comes up, and I pretty much fill the whole frame with most, probably a third of his body and his head. But it's kind of cool. If you'll notice that yellow thing, he's got a fishing bobber hung up on his tail. And I really couldn't tell, when he came by me really close, he didn't have his tail up, so I really couldn't see how it was on there. Well, it's probably fishing line was wrapped around it somehow, so I don't think it's hooked on him, but it's somehow wrapped around his tail. And he kind of looks funny because he's got this yellow bobber on his tail. But you can see how they swim when they do this. They kind of swim with their legs and their feet and their tail. You know, and they kind of wander back and forth, kind of like a snake. But this guy is probably 15, 20 feet away from me at the moment. And no, obviously no danger. He's not a huge alligator, and I'm on a bank. But I'll tell you, when an alligator stares you right in the eye like this, it's kind of spooky. These last two pictures were not taken with the 100-300. They were taken with a 14-140, which is equivalent to a 28-280 on this camera, because it's a 2x crop. This is sunset at the north shore of Lake Apopka. And I just kind of wanted to end with these pictures. It's kind of a nice scene with the rays coming out through the clouds. And we thought there was going to be maybe a spectacular, sunset here, but unfortunately, you'll see here in a second, it really wasn't that great. It kind of fizzled at the last minute, and the clouds ended up too close to the horizon to get the sun underneath them. So we ended up with this little hole in the sky there, which kind of lit up a little bit, but still pretty, but not the epic sunset we were hoping for. I hope you enjoyed this, and I've enjoyed going out and taking all these videos, and I hope you enjoyed it. Thanks for watching, and have a great day.